This started as a revenge story. It turned left somewhere.
As they do.
They do. It was her favorite time of the morning. The moment when the clear sky turns lavender and her dearest friend, the mourning dove, wakes and calls from the clover. As she walked barefoot through the newly plowed earth, snatches of long-ago music comes to her. The cow is white as milk, the cape is red as blood, the slipper as. There's tawny, and there's golden saffron, there's flaxen, and there's blonde. There was much a part of her as the birthmark she bore near her left eye. Her father would tease her gently that it is the mark of a duchess. One day she would have a lovely wax seal to use, and enamel would be toasted in her honor. As she walked, the image of her father floated past her like the seeds of a milkweed caught by a breeze. His death was a bitter memory, and she punched it aside. No, she said to herself, I will not allow that to cloud my thoughts. Everything I sell today will take me away from here. Her basket was growing heavy as she picked up the road to the center of the village. What she wouldn't give for a drink of lemonade to cool her body and clear her throat. She practiced her call on the empty trail. Mead for sale, lovely mead for sale. As she walked, she developed a hybrid cant that was part song and part shout. Syrup from the finest nectar, jelly from the fruit of my garden. Her voice got softer and more timid the closer she got to the market. She stopped, straightened her skirt, and listened to the voices calling out their wares. It had always been a pleasant sound as she would walk the same road with her father. It had been a year since he had been taken from her. His end brought about his inability to resist the honeycomb. The village murmured at the time, poor sap. We told him not to climb that vine. What's to happen to Marisol now that he's gone, poor dear? How she hated to be pitied. The sooner she left the village, the better. Marisol made it to the center of the village just as the sun was peeking over the ridge. Already, farmers were setting out eggs and cheeses and cream. The butchers had their craft on display, and the merchants were greeting the growing crowds with shouts of what they had to offer. As she was finding her way to the spot her father once had in the market, she heard someone call her name. At first, she thought it was the breeze checking in on her, but it grew louder and more excited as she walked. She looked up and saw Dickon. A few years older, they had been playmates in the earlier years. Dickon's family's farm was next to hers, but it had been a long time since she had seen him. He was lucky enough to go away to school while Marisol stayed and learned from her father how to tend the bees and create lovely things from their labor. Now Dickon stood before her, gently took her basket from her, and led her to the little patch of grass that was meant for her. Perhaps it was stolen, but as he settled in and offered her a piece of chocolate, she thought maybe she didn't have to leave after all.
Aww.